And we're live. Finally. Thanks to some technical difficulties. Thank you, Skype. So, you're listening to Let's Talk, the SQPN community podcast. I'm Dom Bettinelli, and I can also say my name. I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you, Dad. And today I'm joined by Joanne Mercier. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Dom. Yes, it's been a little crazy here in week 2, isn't it?
Yes, it has. Noelle isn't able to join us this time, so we'll just go with the two of us. Just as a reminder, this special short form podcast, Let's Talk Live, is going to go on as long as we all have time to go on and do this. And our goal here is to provide a little light, a little levity, and some ideas for how to spend your time, and to kind of gather on. I was thinking of it as like the morning break around the coffee pot when you get to work. Just let's gather around, see how we're doing. Did you watch anything good? That sort of stuff, on TV last night. So most of all, we want to stay connected to our audience. And so you can catch this on Facebook Live each weekday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, and whatever those hours are in between, not the coasts. What do they call it? Oh, they call it flyover country, which is a horrible thing. Anyway, we'll also post in the Let's Talk feed as an audio podcast, and you'll find it on YouTube as a video, that we'll post as a video. So, Joanne, how you doing? Good?
Hanging in. Still working at home. 2 of us are home working.
Yep.
But we're managing fine, and as long as the dog doesn't get sick, we're okay.
Yes.
That's all we can do at this point.
Yes, we're all going a little stir crazy, but we're okay. Yeah. So I wanted to mention a couple things that on the SQPN network that folks might want to check out. American Catholic History had a new episode yesterday on John Dubois. I thought it was a fascinating. What did they say? I think Tom and Noelle, who host it, they said he's the most interesting American Catholic figure that most people don't know. Like, I thought that was a fascinating way to describe him. And he really is. He ended up being Bishop of New York, but he founded Mount St. Mary's Seminary and University in Maryland. I mean, just a fascinating person. So, check that out. It's a sqpn.com/history. It's, it's a 15-minute podcast, just like this one. You can have that really quick. And also, Raising the Bets, that's a podcast I do with my wife, Melanie. And, we have a lot of fun on that, and you should check that out just because it's fun. And hi, as always, to Mike Kuipers in the chat room. Always great to have you there, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
So, and then the other thing, I'm starting a new tradition on the show, Joanne.
Okay.
Where it's my T-shirt of the day. And so
all
today,
right.
so I have to stand up and show everyone my T-shirt today. It is, and for those who are listening, it's Jawa's hijacking the Doctor's TARDIS. So that's just a fun little mashup shirt that I've got on today. So
of course, Joanne, I don't watch Doctor Who, so
right. So it means nothing to you, but to some portion of our audience, it has some special meaning. So Joanne, anything interesting going on for you in your daily life?
No, just trying to keep the parishes going. Because for those of you who know me from Secrets of Tech, I work for a collaborative of parishes in Massachusetts. So we're just trying to keep people connected, keep people informed, and keep people from going stir crazy.
Yes.
That's where my pick of the day comes from. It's probably the most addicting thing you could get yourself into right now, and it'll stay with you later on. And that's family history genealogy. And I use both terms because genealogy is really, what I call digging for your ancestors, finding who your ancestors are and what led up to you. And family history is really looking at the stories of those ancestors to make them real to you. Yeah. So some people do both, some people do one or the other. But it's a fun habit I've been doing for about 21 years now. And I started when my father was dying because at that point I wanted to know. As an only child, I wanted to know what our family was like. I came from 2 Portuguese families with about 12 and 13 children apiece.
Wow.
And I wanted to know, where we came from, who we were before we got to the States. And that's blossomed into 20 years of not only digging for my own family, but my husband's, who's French Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So I've dealt in both realms. And I use it also as a tool at the parishes. I've done it before, not in this particular grouping, but where I've gotten, my young charges, the kids, the youth, involved by saying, here's a chart.
Yep.
Go home and see if you can fill it with
Right.
your family. And all of a sudden they're learning all about their family. And this is a perfect time for people to sit around and tell story.
Exactly.
Gee, kind of like we do at church every week.
Yeah. It's so easy. Like you could fill in back to probably like like your grandparents at least. You probably could go back to your great grandparents for your kids. So I think that's a great idea. And then you fill out cousins and stuff like that. I remember. So my mom's cousin. My mom is a LeBlanc on her mother's side. So French Canadian LeBlancs. And that is a huge grouping. There's a huge family of LeBlancs out there apparently, and he back in the 70s did this huge genealogical report that I got fascinated in when I was a kid, and he went back to France. It got all the way back to the French, including lots of aristocrats who escaped the French Revolution. So
wow.
It's really fascinating. So one day I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to visit Versailles. I'm going to walk in and say, "Hey, I'm home. Everybody out."
It doesn't quite work that way.
I'm sure an Italian American doing that will the French will love that. So.
They'll be very appreciative.
Yes.
I did that with my husband's family. The Mercier name goes back to the very beginning of Canada. They're one of the founding 20 or so founding families of Canada. And actually one of his ancestors was also the first premier of Canada, first prime minister.
Oh, wow.
So there is an actual town outside of Montreal named Mercier.
Yes.
And I keep telling him that. And he's like, yeah, okay, fine. He finds it interesting, but, don't take my DNA. Don't do any of that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I've done the DNA. I've done all of that. But that's because I'm invested in it. And eventually, even though we don't have children, I'm probably going to leave all this research to both the Portuguese repository at the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth and the American French Genealogical Society here in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. So as other people can still benefit from this. And I think that's a good thing that we can do, with our research as well. Because if our families don't want it, give it to somebody else whose family is probably going to be intersecting yours at some point in time. We're all connected.
Yep.
That's why this is a good thing to do.
That is
so if you're looking for a free way to do this, instead of signing up for Ancestry's $200 a year plan, your best bet is to go to a place called FamilySearch.org. Okay. Yep. And Family Search is run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They have the largest repository of records anywhere, and they hide it in a mountain in Utah. But you can sign up for an account and you can look at their stuff free. They also own Ancestry, or own part of it.
Yeah.
But that's where you get the rest of it. But if you're just starting out, Family Search is a perfect place to go.
My understanding is Family Search is just the records that people have uploaded, the trees that people have uploaded. Whereas Ancestry, the reason it costs so much is they're accessing all kinds of public databases. Is that the difference?
Not true. Not true.
Okay.
You can still find public databases here. You're going to get a better quality on Ancestry. You're going to get a broader depth in Ancestry. Okay,
that's the difference.
But if you want to start with census records, which are all public anyway, if you want to start with birth and death up to 1915, you can find those on Family Search for free.
Okay. It's the more modern records and the not public records. Like I think like transit, like shipping records of people entering, that some of those things are available in Ancestry. I remember seeing. I've occasionally I have a family tree on Ancestry, and I've occasionally paid for a month. $20 is expensive a month, but occasionally paid for a month to kind of do some digging and update things. But it's fascinating. And we're living in an historical period right now, and we know that. But it's interesting to go back and see our ancestors who also lived through historical periods and see their stories, and how important it is for us to write down our story now. In fact, I saw an historian in an article talking about encouraging people, start a diary. Encourage your kids to keep a diary. Keep a record of what you're experiencing for posterity, for the future, so that future generations and future historians will have something to look back at, just like we have what we know for people in previous history and people during the influenza in 1918 and all those times before that is based on diaries, a lot of it. So yeah, I think that's a great idea.
If you have any of those in your attics, that is gold to people. And if you can write some of your impressions right now of what we're going through with this pandemic, we can leave this for others so that they can see what we were thinking, feeling, and doing. Right. We're going to have a lot of video record, however, I think.
Yes, we are.
Floating around.
And social media memes will be the future historian.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. For those of you who want to listen to podcasts on genealogy, there are a couple that I recommend. One is Extreme Genes.
Okay.
Believe it or not, that's extremegenes.com. And also genealogy gems. If you find that online, it's under Lisa Louise Cook with an E.com.
Okay.
If you're interested in DNA, yourdnaguide.com. Diane Southard. She is she's simplistic in her explanations of DNA, but she's right on target. If you want to know, because DNA is extremely complicated and everybody just wants to know their ethnicity and that's it.
Right.
But there's a whole lot more you could know. She explains it clearly. My husband understands it, and so do I. And if you're looking to start some other free things, if you're looking at French genealogy, afgs.org, American French Genealogical Society in Woonsocket, has both a free and a members only side to it. And Portuguese, I've got to shout out to you folks, Tombo, TOMBO.pt. You can look up the actual baptismal death registers, marriage registers from both the islands and the mainland of Portugal and Madeira.
Ooh, cool. Very nice.
So, you got that's where I do most of my stuff, but that's not for the faint of heart. You should really know Portuguese or be ready to learn it quickly.
Yeah, that's the one thing that it's easier for me to research my French side. The Sicilian side is a lot tougher because those records are not as many of those records are online like the French Canadian ones are. And you really got to know Italian, which I don't really know as well. As I took French in high school because they had French. I didn't take French. I didn't take Italian or Sicilian. I know some Sicilian words from my dad, but those are not the types of words that you can use to research your genealogy and church records. But that's fascinating. We do have a little bit on my dad's side. That's a little bit complicated by the fact that my grandfather was adopted as a child because his father was adopted. I think that's what it was. I think it was. But it's all messed up there, so on that side. And then my mom's dad is Russian. He's a Russian Jew, so think Fiddler on the Roof.
Yep, there's a site for that, and I don't have it up handy, but there are some Jewish sites online where they want you to go back and trace, and especially those who have Holocaust victims in their families.
Yeah.
They're very willing to help you out. So, cool. But it's a fascinating hobby. You'll get sucked into the vortex. You'll be up at 3 a.m. saying, but let me go down one more rabbit hole. But it is rewarding, and this is a good time to start. Give your kids a chart, or even just it starts with you. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have to start with you and go backwards.
Yep.
Okay, so just start with you, see how far you can go back, and then jump online and see where you can go. And if you got anything in the house, like birth certificates, death certificates, start with those.
Yep.
Those are the things. You have things in your house right now. Give your kids a scavenger hunt. Go find these things in the house.
Yeah, that's cool.
These are things you can do right now.
One of the things I found that I really love is one of my ancestors from the early 1800s, my French Canadian ancestors, Simon Leblanc, was a ship owner and master, he and his brothers. And as a Star Trek fan, I'm very happy to say that their ship was called the Enterprise. So
Oh,
it
there
was
you
destiny.
go.
It was destiny. So that's awesome. Well, those are great picks. I want to suggest some stuff people can do that they could check out. Cardinal Sean, the Archbishop of Boston, is doing a virtual Lenten retreat all this week on Catholic TV and at bostoncatholic.org. And so they're broadcasting on Catholic TV both on cable, but also on the they have an app, and they have an Apple TV app, they have Roku apps, they have apps for your phones and all that sort of stuff. And so it's on demand and in live streaming. So he's doing a retreat all this week. Every night it's 7 Eastern, and then on demand. And it's so good. He's such a good preacher, such a good retreat master in that sense. Like last night was on prayer. It was so well done, and so really welcome, so check that out. catholictv.org, catholictv.com, bostoncatholic.org. So those are great. And one other thing I want to recommend that I saw, and I'm not sure how to get the link to it, because this is from a show that Jimmy Kimmel Live, so he does a late night stand up guy, late night TV. So he did an episode back in December where he had this, Madame Tussauds has a wax figure of Jimmy Kimmel now. And so he had this agreement with them. He could borrow the wax figure, and he set it up in his office, like where his, with his staff, and he kept and videoed people like coming around the corner and encountering it and getting surprised and shocked by it.
Oh no.
And then apparently his cousin works there, and she had the biggest reactions. So they kept doing it to her until the last one was it was him live standing there pretending to be the wax figure, and then she comes around the corner, she's like, "Oh, well, you guys stop doing this," and then he moves. Oh my gosh, her reaction is the best. So if you check it out, it's really great. I'll see if I can get a link to it in the show notes. It's really awesome. Hi to Dan Smorkowski. Sorry, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
From the Special Chronicles podcast. It's great to have you with us here in the broadcast. So, but we're wrapping things up now. So, but I'm glad you could make it. You can always watch this on demand and on Facebook Live and on YouTube, and you can listen to it in our podcast feed. So as we wrap things up, I do, as I always want to do, take a moment to thank our patrons, because they make it possible for us to create Let's Talk. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Let's Talk and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And right now, it's more important than ever that you help us out, because some folks are having some financial difficulties, are getting laid off, and they're ending their pledges, which I understand. But that means we need others who can to step up and help us keep making the podcast. We would really appreciate it. So that's it from us. We want to hear from you, so you can contact us by visiting sqpn.com or the StarQuest Facebook page, where you're probably watching this, but if you're not, it's facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send an email to letstalk@sqpn.com. You can find links to the items we discussed on our website at sqpn.com/letstalk. All those links that Joanne gave me, I'll put them there. Until next time, Joanne Mercier, thank you for joining me on Let's Talk.
Thank you, and stay sane, everybody.
Stay sane. And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk on StarQuest.